Shabbat Shalom, everyone. There's no minyan this week, no Shabbat services, no office hours, no visiting friends or family, no Starbucks coffee. I'm pretty certain that both my cat and dog are getting sick of me being around all the time, and I dare not imagine what must be going through Jamie's mind, despite the fact that we've only been married for 8 months. On the rare occasion that I do go out to restock on groceries or get supplies for Passover, I do it with my full woodworking protective gear, including gloves, a respirator, and plastic goggles. I imagine that for many of us, it's hard to look forward to Passover this year amidst the chaos. In addition to asking, why is this night different from all other nights, we could also very well ask, why is this Passover different from all other Passovers? Without being able to gather our extended families around the Seder table, it's going to be quite different. There's an ancient Chinese curse: may you live through interesting times. Times are certainly interesting, and it's hard not to feel like the world has been beset by a terrible curse. Life as we know is full of both ups and downs. Certainly, our world before the coronavirus pandemic was not perfect by any stretch of the imagination. Perhaps then it shouldn't be a surprise to us when our world turned upside down that some things, it seems, may have managed to turn right side up. In our isolation, we have been learning just how valuable community is in our lives, because it's amazing how hard we're working just in order to find ways to interact with one another. I don't know how many of you will agree with me, but I find that whether I'm watching someone on television or on Zoom, I can't help but noticing people's homes in the background as they broadcast not from a fancy stage or a sound studio, but from their personal phones or computers in their living rooms. It makes me feel connected to them in a strangely different but wonderfully positive and personal way. I also find it's amazing how creative we've become in finding new ways to teach children, collaborate with colleagues, spend time with friends and loved ones, all without sharing the same physical space. Just check out the Toronto Symphony Orchestra playing Aaron Copland's Appalachian Spring, each musician performing through their own smartphone. The crisis has also opened our hearts to those in need, taught us to care and give in new ways, like apartment buildings that are coordinating grocery shopping assistance for elderly residents, or breweries who have switched operations from making beer to making hand sanitizer. Look at each of us as we take on the immense challenge of physically isolating ourselves. We, the human race, are in the process of showing ourselves the amazing lengths we would go to in order to protect the most vulnerable people in our society. That's something we should be enormously proud of. While we will not be seeing each other in shul this week, I urge you all to have a read through this week's Parsha, Vayikra. It might seem a bit tedious at first, as it covers nothing but the rules of the sacrificial rite, but consider this. After completing the building of the tabernacle, the single focus of the Israelite nation was to figure out how their new understanding of God, life, and freedom worked. They had to understand the new rules that were going to govern their embryonic society. And it was completely different than what they had been used to. Of course it's tedious. But this year, we are in a unique position to relate. I, for one, can't imagine anything more tedious than what our K through 12 educators are involved with right now as they learn to teach and manage young students entirely through online media. In a couple of weeks, we will be celebrating some version of Passover. I say some version because it certainly will not be anything like the Passovers that we are used to. But I think that this year's Seder will bring with it an unexpected right side up in our upside down world as we discover a new way to relate to the feelings and experiences of our ancient ancestors. We will be at home, sharing some of the same awe and that same fear as they did as they prayed for a plague to pass over their homes. The mezuzahs on our doorposts are already there to represent the blood of the Lamb that was marking their homes. We will share the same food that they ate on the night that God destroyed the firstborn of Egypt. And now, maybe, for the first time, we can also understand what it meant for them to yearn for freedom and deliverance. But the most important part is that they had with it, or they must have had with it, that same feeling of hope and kinship and camaraderie that we are feeling today. Shabbat Shalom.